Smith? I love the Smiths.
Sorry?
I said I love the Smiths. You've good taste in music.
You like the Smiths?
Yeah. To die by your side is such a heavenly way to die. I love them.
This scene as a whole very adequately summarizes the archetypical story of not just the preliminary attraction between two strangers, but also the awakening of the inner, sleeping, conscious, by the divine feminine. By breaking the scene down, we can more clearly see the perennial story that all of us have or will perhaps go through at some point in our lives. This scene begins with a very ordinary man going about his mundane life. He is a symbol of the slumbering man, the man who has not yet realized why he is alive. His unconscious calls on him, however, as it does so likely every day. It speaks to him through the music he listens to, the same way the fantastical world of the unconscious speaks to us all through the media we consume. Though the childlike wonder is progressively buried with age, it can never die. It kicks and screams in its coffin, waiting to be dug out. It is why we hold seemingly arbitrary things such as culture and rituals sacred. It is why we can go 6 days in a week, working 9-to-5 jobs in cubicles, convinced that life is ultimately an exclusively pragmatic endeavor. Yet on that 6th day, pay to watch a movie about a hero going on great adventures to overcome even greater odds, in pursuit of the greatest of rewards. We love these stories because deep inside all of us, we know that that is what we must be doing with our lives, no matter how desperately we try to convince ourselves otherwise. Going back to the scene of the slumbering man holding on to his unconscious by a tether, the woman walking in represents the sudden chaos that is thrown at the hero, or the sudden call to adventure as Joseph Campbell would put it. We see that the man is not drawn to her simply by her looks, or her being a woman, but by something else entirely. As soon as she comments on the music he is listening to, he realizes something. A deep and ancient mechanism is triggered inside him. As was highlighted previously, his music was the tether between him and his buried soul. He understood that this woman was a part of the deepest parts of him. He also believed in that same moment that she would be the lifeline for his unconscious, and that she, and only she, could help him integrate his soul into his life. He realizes all of this, of course, not by these words and definition, but by the very essence of the phenomena. The same way an animal understands food to be nutritious, without ever being able to define or even comprehend it. His sudden realization of this incredible need he has for this person is embodied by the notorious look we call love at first sight. As the title implies, we will not be looking to dissect this phenomena from a purely materialistic or scientific lens. Rather, we are hoping to find the connection between it and the source of all things, the transcendent, complete consciousness, the One, or otherwise referred to as God. Why would God manifest in humans the desire to seemingly worship one another? This is no exaggeration, for a man in love will indeed worship a woman he has fallen for more devoutly than he would any other deity he may believe in, at least initially. He cannot help it. It is ingrained inside his very soul. He not only wants this person to acknowledge and reciprocate what he feels, but also needs her to witness every aspect of his life. No deed is worthy unless it is vouched by her. No event is significant unless it is in her presence. His life is forever split into two timelines. Before he has seen her, and after. In all intents and purposes, she has become his God, and aiming to be what she desires has become his religion.
How do you propose to have her?
By proposing marriage.
Marriage?
Yes, why not?
It's too rash a step, Basil, for it's a permanent one. Yours is a passing fancy for a girl who has piqued your curiosity, but once she's yours and wholly familiar...
Then I will love her all the more. I cannot live without her, John.
But you will, and you must. Only a love that can let you live with or without it can endure.
How do you know? She's the first image in my mind when I rise and the last when I go to sleep. She fills my waking hours, nor are my dreams free from her. There is but one thought in my head, one theme to my life. Have you felt this way about anyone?
It is important to highlight that this immense infatuation is only temporary, and fades or is rather replaced with a much more different kind of love, deeper into the relationship. Regardless, we ask the question again, why would God create his own rival? It must be noted that love does not take hold of one the same way that the traps of the ego, or otherwise known as the 7 cardinal sins, do. No sense of guilt or depravity is felt after pursuing an act of romantic love. The opposite is true, in fact. One feels himself closer to divinity after an act of affection towards his beloved. It is indeed a perplexing question, yet it has a very simple answer. Man does not know God, yet he knows that he needs him. Thus, God places in front of man a representation of himself. For a man, God manifests this representation as a woman. Consequently, he does the opposite for a woman. In all cases, the human is suddenly made aware of this need to obtain a great treasure, an impossibly transcendent bounty, one that can never, ever be put into words. A treasure that gives salvation to those in the deepest of despair, and doom to those prevented from reaching it. In the midst of this great realization, man is made aware of another important fact. He realizes that he cannot reach his prize at the state he is now. She is his, and his alone, and they both understand this. They both know they are destined for one another. But he cannot have her until he rises above himself. She becomes his mirror through which he will see his flaws. She will demand that he become better. Even after she has accepted him, he will need to maintain his progression. Because of the love she has for him, she will not allow him to regress. She will be diligent. One can begin to see now what role human love plays in the grand cosmic scheme. In our journey back to the source, we reaffirm that man does not know God despite needing him, which is why God himself must intervene. The woman is not simply another human being, but instead is the need of God made manifest. Through trials and tribulations, he cleanses his soul and transcends, yet is still ignorant of his ultimate goal. He presumes that the woman herself is the object of his desire. Only through honest reflection will he begin to realize that she is a guide and a promise. Her demands to see him understand and resolve his flaws will guide his soul towards eternity through purification, while the euphoria he feels by being in her presence is a promise and a taste of what awaits him upon unification with the One. Man and woman are each other's path towards infinity. The symbol of the love and need for God manifesting itself as the infatuation a man feels for a woman is beautifully encapsulated in a famous Sufi tale written in the 12th century AD. It is called Majnun Leila, which roughly translates to Layla's insane man. Leila and Qais, which is Majnun's actual name, were in love ever since they were children. Due to external circumstances, however, they were never allowed to be together. Once they were older, Qais is perceived to be mad because of his obsession with Leila. Leila is married off to another man, and Qais, now simply called Majnun by his community, becomes a hermit and devotes his entire life to writing verses and poems about his profound love of Leila. One such poem reads, "One night, desperate Majnun prayed tearfully, 'O Lord of mine who has abandoned me, why hast thou, Majnun, called me? Why hast thou made a lover of Leila of me? Thou hast given me a pillow of wild thorns, made me roam day and night without a home. What dost thou want from my imprisonment? O Lord of mine, listen to my plea.' The Lord replied, 'O lost man, with Leila's love I have your heart filled. The beauty of Leila that you see is just another reflection of me.'" Despite all this, we must not let the significance of romance be undermined due to understanding its deeper meaning. Romantic love does not suddenly lose its value when it is realized that it, in and of itself, is not the ultimate goal, but is rather a vehicle. The sense of a cessation of time and space when one experiences the love at first sight is not nullified and still very much real. The feeling of complete and utter madness one is left with at the prospect of having his beloved removed from his life can never be denied. Love revives the soul. It is the antidote to selfishness. It makes one forget his own existence and instead live for another. His life becomes her safe haven. He will no longer die with his body, but with her disdain instead. So long as she is his, all sense of self-preservation vanishes. He does not need himself anymore, nor does she need herself. They live on through their love, so long as it is sustained by their commitment, care, and effort. They are eternal. Who can better explain the complete state of ego dissolution in the face of true love than the renowned Syrian poet Nizar Qabbani? Raise me more, love, raise me, my prettiest fits of madness. O daggers journey in my flesh, knives plunge, sink into me further, my lady. The sea calls me, add to me more death. Perhaps as death slays me, I am revived. Your body is my map. The world's map no longer concerns me. I am the oldest capital of sadness, and my wound a pharaonic engraving. I feel scared of the unknown. Shelter me. I feel scared of the darkness. Embrace me. I feel cold. Cover me up. Tell me children's stories. Rest beside me. Chant to me. Since the beginning of creation, I've been searching for a homeland for my forehead, for a woman's hair that writes me on the walls then erases me, for a woman's love to take me to the borders of the sun and throws me from a woman's lip as she makes me fan like dust of powdered gold. Shine, my life, you are my lantern. Stretch me like a bridge with the scent of oranges, and place me like an ivory comb in the darkness of your hair. Then forget me. I am a drop of water, ambivalent, remaining in the notebook of October. Your love crushes me like a mad horse from the Caucasus, throwing me under its hooves, and gargles with the water of my eyes. Add to me more fury, add to me, O prettiest fits of my madness. For your sake I efface my birth certificate and cut all my arteries.